Hey there, Jed Corbinus here from jedcorbinus.com, and welcome to today's talk therapy session. Friday morning at 5:35 a.m. I don't usually timestamp these and all that fun stuff, but I've got about 4 hours of sleep, maybe a little less, running off that, so I might yawn a few times, might talk some random sense, like I always do anyway. But this is a nice little tool to get past the analytical mind, to talk just straight up. So if you fast forward to like minute 10, or if you're hearing this from my podcast and you go to part 3 right away, I won't be butthurt, because that's usually where the good stuff is, but you never know. I could get to what I call the center, or the real me, right away. Who knows? I'm getting better and better at it every day, and it's just taking practice. I never really think too much about what I'm going to say. I just hit record, and then I see what's bubbling up. But see, right there's a yawn. It's just, Friday's my early day. Go in early, get off early. It's pretty sweet. I enjoy that piece, but I enjoy every day. It's not just Fridays. If you live for Fridays and the weekend, you should probably rethink your situation, rethink your job, rethink your life, rethink everything, right? So I was up late last night studying and creating a blog post, a long form blog post. I think it's over 1,600 words, and they're not just, bullshit words either. The whole thing was about EPOC, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. It's fascinating. It's just pretty cool. You just get to burn a little bit, 15% more calories burned than you would regularly. Sorry. So that was that whole blog post. I wanted to get that done. I learned a lot about blogging itself, so I'm doing it. Doing the work that as a blogger does, right? Instead of just going with, getting, 226 workouts done and posted, I want to add depth. I want to give value, massive amounts of value. Not just here's another WOD, but here's another why. There we go. You could say, here's another why. Because I feel like if I can teach it, I know it. That's it. It's just simple. If I can teach what I'm saying, it means I absolutely know what I'm talking about. So the blog gives me the opportunity to teach and reinforce that I know what the hell I'm doing. So that was pretty cool. So I got all of that done. It was all about EPOC. And the oxygen system. So yesterday, I started talking about the 3 ways that our body creates energy, and now I know it. It's funny, because once I post it, once I type on it, once I read it so many times, it just takes practice. So, the 3 systems. First one is the creatine phosphate system, and that acts just like an ADD kid, or an ADHD kid like myself, and lasts the attention span of that kid, or of my attention span, which is about 0 to 10 seconds. Then you have your anaerobic glycolysis. That is where, and now I know what it is. The brain fart happens. anaerobic glycolysis is when you have ADP, adenyl triphosphate. No, the adenyl phosphate. And that gets converted into ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And the cool part of that is if there's oxygen available, that goes right to the oxidative system. And then if there isn't oxygen available, that's where it stays into the glycogen, or the anaerobic glycolysis. And that piece of it, right, the anaerobic glycolysis is when some of the energy, oxygen and carbon and nitrogen and all that fun stuff, gets converted into ATP, but then the rest of it, because there's more components to it, gets converted into lactic acid. So that's the crappy part, right? So that's why after you make that mad dash to the, I was trying to think here, this is what I was trying to do. I was trying to think of the example that I used in the blog. That's why it was so choppy right there. Now I just remembered it. The reason you feel all of that tension when you grab your kids, both kids at once, after a long ass road trip, and they're just too tired to walk themselves, so you pick them up and you walk them all the way to the house, and then all the way into their bedrooms so they can take a nap, maybe. And that's what it is. And when you feel that burn, and you're like, oh god, I can't do it, that's the lactic acid building up. That's the anaerobic glycolysis happening, right? That's pretty sweet. So the third piece, the third system, is the oxidative system. And that's the aerobic, right? So oxygen, aerobic. So the cool part of that is the process where this long game, right? Anything over 2 minutes. So I used it in the blog post where I used the example of when you got both kids, or 4 or 5 kids, or one kid, doesn't even matter how many kids, and you're in the store and they're just screaming, right? Bloody murder. And you kind of have to haul ass, but it's a big store, so you got a long ways to travel. That's your oxidative system kicking in, giving you the energy to do that. It's kind of crazy. So you do that, picking up so the example used in the blog post is pretty funny, because I just used, you got to remember to get the butter, right? But then you read on the cover of a magazine while you're standing there waiting for your kid's hair to get cut that butter is bad. So then you drop the butter on the floor, you got to pick it back up, so you're squatting down. So then you kind of switch back into the anaerobic glycolysis system, then you go right back into the oxidative system. As soon as you grab that, I can't believe it's not butter, that tastes like shit and it's really bad for you anyway. You grab that and you make that dash to the checkout, which then you're going back into the creatine phosphate system. And then as you carry all of that stuff to the car, then you're right back into the oxidative. So it's just funny. It's just funny how as soon as you can teach it, you know it. Like, as soon as you can teach it. And for me, it's all about the relatability. Like, if I can relate it to a real life situation, it's kind of like the name game. Like, if somebody says their name, you're like, okay, hi, my name's Jed, what's your name? Somebody says Todd, right? Well, I'm going to think of Todd from Christmas Vacation. Todd and Margot, right? The neighbors across the neighbors to the right, or if you're looking at out in the street from Clark Griswold's house is to the left, but that's what I think of when I hear the name Todd. And that is basically what I do with everything that I learn. It has to be like something memorable. If I can relate it to something memorable, something easy to remember, I'll remember it. Because the cool thing about your name, I'm gonna go on a riff here. Cool thing about your name is you love to hear the sound of your own name. If somebody remembers your name, don't you just feel tickled, right? Don't you just feel like happier than hell? That's kind of cool. So on a side note of like trying to make a good impression, remember somebody's name and then call it by that, right? Hey, Todd, how are you? And versus like, hey, good morning, how are you? Right? Which one sounds more personable there? So yeah, I mean, anyway, that's just a little riff on name. But I knew it'd be a little random this morning. But that's okay. So, chapter 4 is what I'm on of 17. And man, I'm just trying to think. Maybe I'll do a blog post on what I find most fascinating in those chapters, and then I can just apply that to a WOD. I think that's what I'll do. Why? Because I can do whatever the hell I want with it. It's just how it works. But I also need to understand, or I do understand, that if I'm the only one enjoying this process, then I'm probably just wasting time. Because I kind of need to make an impact on the world. At least I kind of want to. The world's gonna decide if I make the impact or not. That's basically it. I'll be real honest. I woke up this morning thinking, okay, there'd be a lot of stuff happening because I made that blog post. I don't know yet. I have not checked it out. So we'll see. We'll see what the day brings. We'll see what happens, I guess. We'll go from there. But it all takes practice, that's what I know. It takes time and practice to rank on Google. But by December of 2017, which is not far away, I'll be ranking. It's just one of those things where you're like, okay, I feel it. And that's what I feel. And that is a good feeling. So it's a little short today, but that's alright. The big thing is I got it out there. I hit record, I interrupted my patterns, because really I didn't have to. I didn't have to do any of this. I could have just went, oh, I'm too tired. I'm not going to do it. The point is even when you're too tired, even when you're exhausted, even when you're just on the brink, you have to keep going. That's it. Simple. Keep going. So hop on my newsletter, jedcoverness.com/newsletter. I send out a few newsletters a week, or a few notes a week. Sometimes one a week, sometimes more. But yeah, it's a one-on-one conversation. It's a lot of fun. Otherwise, if you're willing to change from the neck up, you will change from the neck down. I believe in you. Now it's your turn to start believing in yourself. Stay safe out there. Be blessed.